Today in the show, we're going to be talking about my initial impressions of Marvel Television's Runaways. So if you didn't see, recently I did a 30-minute video on the history of the Runaways. Please watch that. I put in a lot of work into it and I'm still recovering from it. I've been looking forward to this Runaways adaptation for a very, very long time. I believe it was announced shortly after the Marvel Cinematic Universe was created. This was before Disney bought out Marvel. Like, that's how old the Marvel Cinematic Universe is at this point. So to give you a bit of background for the Runaways TV show, in 2008, Brian K. Vaughan, the creator of the Runaways comic, was actually hired by Marvel to write a script for a Runaways movie. In 2010, a director was hired, and then I believe they commissioned a new script after this. Then in 2013, the project was officially shelved. They were like, at earliest, we'll do it in phase 3 of the cinematic universe, but who knows? But then Marvel Studios split from Marvel Television, so they basically act as two separate companies that make work for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's just their work can't cross over. It's a whole thing. And the rights for the Runaways actually ended up with Marvel Television, and it was one of the first things that they were like, yeah, we kind of have to do this. So in 2015, a new script was drafted, and the series was announced in 2016, I believe. So in terms of the connection to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in this series, the characters are aware of Iron Man, they're aware of the Avengers, like, that's common knowledge for their world, but they don't really care, and it's not really a part of their daily lives. So now on to what I thought about those first 3 episodes. The 4th episode comes out on the 28th of November. Well, spoiler, I loved them all a lot and just want more of it, like, in and around my existence. Here's what this show does right, that I feel like a lot of superhero properties just don't do, and I need this to enjoy something. The show has like the surface level story going on, and then it has the meat of the characters' emotions and their interactions with one another and their thought processes. Especially that girl that plays Nico. You can see every thought that she's going through in her eyes. Like, she's a brilliant actress, and I don't know why she hasn't been in like everything that requires a character like her ever. And then you've got the base layer, which is filled with themes, issues, and esoteric meanings, which I again adore, and it's just full of it. And you can't really get into it just based on 3 episodes, but each of them like give you a taste of what the show is trying to tell you overall. So I was really curious what they were going to do with Molly, because Molly in the comics is a mutant that has worked with the X-Men, which does mean that she can only be used by Fox legally. And she just has a completely different backstory to Molly Hayes, and I feel like that's how they got around it. They just made a completely new character that just happens to have the same name. I feel like that was really, really smart. Again, just for clarity, it's only mutants that have had their primary career with the X-Men or like an equal career with the X-Men that Marvel can't use or that both companies can use. For example, Scarlet Witch is very much split between the X-Men and the Avengers, which means both companies can use her. Another huge difference is the portrayal of Chase. Chase in the comics is way more like a rebellious teddy bear rather than a jock. He just gets called a jock, but he was never written like that. Whereas in this, he's very much written like the people that used to bully me. So strong points about the writing. First of all, the women are incredibly strong. That was the main thing about the Runaways comic. The women characters were incredibly strong and totally outshone all the male characters. And that has carried over 150% to the TV show. The actress that plays Gertrude is great. I love how they're exploring female teenage sexuality through Gertrude, which is completely ironic because she's the social justice warrior, and she completely justifies her actions in one episode saying, well, you know, men objectify women all the time, I'm just doing the same thing, which is like top. I love it. I love it. In fact, there's like this 4 or 5 second butt shot in episode 1, and it's just Gertrude staring at a butt, and when that first appeared, I was like, why are we looking at a guy's butt? And then we saw Gertrude and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Another strong thing about the writing actually is that the Pride parents actually have characters. In the comics, the Pride really weren't there in terms of characters. They were just sort of like this unit of evil parents. And you saw glimpses of them, but they didn't have much in terms of characters. Like, they were their kids' parents. And that was actually something I spent quite a bit of time worrying about, because you couldn't adapt it directly for TV and not give these parents some form of characteristics. And they did it flawlessly. They really did it flawlessly. Most of the parents actually had to be totally reinvented to fit in the context of a TV show, because like I said, they really didn't have much of a character. The only parents that are really similar are Alex's parents, and even then, they were the only two that had any form of character. Like, Nico's parents spent most of their time in these robes. I am disappointed that we've yet to see Nico's father use any magic. I would like to see that change, because what made them a really interesting couple was that they could both use magic independently, but then they used it together as well. I don't know, Nico was always my favorite character of the Runaways, and she sort of stole the show. And she is doing that now, but I would like to see that apply to her parents as well, because at the moment, Carolina's mother is stealing the show. In terms of criticisms, I think the pacing's a little bit weird at times. Like, I feel like they spend way too much time in certain aspects. Like, we got several shots of Gertrude sat alone while Chase was at a party in episode 1. I wasn't really comfortable with that. Like, just establish Gertrude is on her own once, do the party scene, and then split up from there. We didn't need several shots reminding us that Gertrude was on her own. But those critiques are negligible. Like, this is rapidly becoming my favorite Marvel property, which is actually not a surprise because I really love the Runaways comics, so that was kind of bound to happen if they did a good job on this. In terms of tonality, if I had to compare this to something else in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would put it more in line with Jessica Jones and Doctor Strange, sort of like a middle ground between those two, rather than, say, like the Avengers. It's got a level of intrigue that was very much present in Jessica Jones, but in Doctor Strange there was this coming-of-age story, which is really weird considering how old Doctor Strange was, but it was a coming-of-age story. But it is very unique. Like, comparing those two is very much a stretch, and I feel like everyone needs to watch it, give it a chance, and see what they think of it for themselves. It's available on Hulu, so if you have Hulu, definitely watch it there. I'm just really happy that this has turned out well, because this was either going to go really, really great or be really, really bad. Like, they could have gone full on Disney Channel being like, they're teens and they're on a hero adventure with this. And it would have been the wrong direction to take this in. They could have gone full on Disney Channel and they didn't. They kept it realistic. Like, these people actually act like teenagers. The actors are in their 20s, by the way. Like, none of them are teens, other than the girl that plays Molly. I think she's 19, but the majority of them are like 25. The guy that plays Chase is 25. Most of them are older than me. I'm closest in age with the girl that plays Molly. Although I'm getting even further into my 20s this year, and turning 20 was bad enough. Like, that was not... I don't ever want to do that again. Well, I won't be able to do that again, but like, if I could just stop aging, like, no thank you to aging. Can I just stay here? That would be fun. I'm just gonna stay here with my age. Runaways is great. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today. I will be doing a full review once the series is over, but for now, what do you think of the Runaways so far? Please let me know in the comments down below. Also don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe to all of my social links. Check out my Patreon if you want to support the show, and I will see you next time.